I want to share one of the greatest reasons why embarking and staying the course on this journey is so important. And it's important because there will be pivotal points that you'll reach within this journey, these epiphanies, these aha moments that will come that will make you realize why you want to keep walking this path. There'll be realizations about yourself that you weren't privy to before because you were pretty much self identified with who it was that you are, that you couldn't see all the things that were holding you back from being the greatest part of who it is that you're truly intended to be in this world, in this lifetime. And that happened to me a few weeks ago when I had one of the most pivotal moments that I have actually been waiting for the last 2 years while I've been on this journey. It was a piece of the puzzle that I had been missing since the beginning for the last 10 years. And over the last 2 years of really being deeply embedded within this work, it was a part that I was really hoping would come back home, that would awaken me to what was really truly holding me back. And that really harked back to my being raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you are somebody who grew up in a religion that is very mind controlling, you will have a great appreciation for what it feels like when you are finally liberated from that grip and that hold of that religion having on you. A lot of people make the assumption that when you are no longer a part of an organization, that you can just walk away and be done with it. But that is far from the truth, because the indoctrinations are so deeply embedded in you that sometimes you don't even recognize that even though you're not a part of that religion, maybe you believe something else, that it will find its way of coming up into your life and making itself known in subtle ways sometimes, or in more profound ways. When I first left and was no longer a part of it, I knew that the world was my oyster, but I still held on very strongly to a lot of the things that I was taught. I didn't know how to unthink what I had been thinking and believing my entire life. And then over time, I started to grasp on to the belief systems and the ideas of the people that I was involved with at the time. And I went on with that for a few years. I had no identity. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I stood for. It wasn't until 2020 came that I recognized that the beliefs and the values of who I was with didn't align with who I wanted to be, who I was ready to really truly become. But that was only half the journey. Over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years that I've been, 4 years, I've been invested in really sourcing out what the truth really is for myself through my different avenues, through shamanism, through quantum healing, and more importantly, recently through the practice of presence. I was still holding on to thinking that I needed to do everything by the book. I didn't recognize that that's what I was doing. So I would take an active interest in what it was that I was learning. I integrated it, I practiced it, I put it out there into the world. I saw profound results for myself as well as for others. But what I wasn't realizing is that I wasn't really accepting it as my truth, as what I wanted it to become for me. I was still attaching a certain amount of rules and regulations to how I was following it, feeling like I needed to follow everything by the book in order for it to be valid. And that if I didn't, if I wasn't perfect in how I did that, that somehow I was falsifying it, that I wasn't standing for what it was that I was intended to. And so I was holding myself back from expressing my own inner truths, my own authenticity, because I didn't know what that was, because I was taking it from somebody else's playbook. And then I happened to be in a situation where I was really struggling with thinking that it was my ego that was making me feel like I needed to be a perfectionist when it came to everything. How I said things, how I did things. Help me. What is going on with me? And all of a sudden, I realized what I was doing. I realized that I was trading the religion that I had been a part of for close to 40 years with the spiritual aspect of my life right now, and not recognizing that there's no such thing as original thought. Everybody finds something through an avenue of outside sources, but where it becomes the truth, where it becomes different, is when we go in and we turn within and find our own way with it. And that is the beauty of what spirituality is all about. Now, you've heard me say this many times. In the book, A Course on Miracles, it specifically states that there will never be a time in life ever, no matter what, where theologically we all believe one theology. It will never happen. The experience is something that is intended to happen for each and every one of us. Not the same experience, but the experience of something greater than us that we then take and put out into the world with our own finesse, with our own authenticity. If you have source, higher consciousness, God, the divine, the creator, whatever it is that you want to call it, the pie, and each of us is a piece of that pie, then how could we possibly think that two pieces are going to be exactly the same? What is the same is the source, the pie. What isn't the same is each individual piece that comes off of that pie. Each individual piece has its own perspective of truth, not the full, a perspective. And when you bring all of those pieces of the puzzle, the pieces of the pie back together again, they make the entire picture. And if we can remember that, then what we can do is expand upon that so that we can walk within this world feeling authentically who it is that we are intended to be, because we've taken what we've learned and chosen to put our own spin on how it has translated for us and put it back out there so that we can draw others who have a very similar perspective or are looking for a similar perspective to us. And that's why it is so important to A, stay the course, and B, for us to really separate ourselves from those who think that they have something that is above all other people. And that especially includes religion. It's a false way of thinking to believe that there is only one truth out there. Yes, there is one absolute truth, but that absolute truth belongs to the higher consciousness, an aspect that we can't see from where it is that we currently are standing right now. But we can have a piece of that. And that piece of that is what helps us move through this world in a way that helps us feel like we are really, truly a part of something. So stay the course, keep going. These are the moments that make it all worth it. Much love and light.